Hello, my baby gorillas. Oh, I'm back in focus. Come on, Dave, let's get to grip with this. Let's go. Let's see if this is working. Oh, no. Nigel. Nigel. Let's see this. Yeah. Come on, show me my thing. Your channel. Let's see if this is working. Make sure my voice and everything is okay. Come on. Where are we? Where are we? Why is it not showing my channel? It is not very good. Your channel. Come on. Honestly. Here we go. Here we go.
This file's massive. I'll be uploading all night. Psst.
Clara. That is not very good. Here we go. Your channel. Come on. I think I'm getting a blue haze on it. I thought the actual chroma key was working better there. Honestly. Let's move me over a bit. Here we go. Here we go.
This file's massive. I'll be uploading all night. Psst.
Right, great. We're in. So, this is not a good day, a good news day, is it? Nigel. Nigel. Have you got us some upsetting news, Nige? Right, let's hear you. GB News through the Express. Oh, where is that? That's not good, is it? Might be beneficial if we could hear you.
No, reform will make Richard Tice has got the party up and running. There are 500 candidates selected. He will get more.
Right. Which is all correct, but that's not really the point, though, is it? The point is how decimated the Conservatives are going to be and how many votes Reform are going to get to the extent where people are going to be elected, which would have been better had you put your hat in the ring. Including you being elected in your own for the first time in a constituency.
The whole plan for reform was that it was a 6-year plan. A 6-year plan.
Well, I was told it would be more than a 6-year plan. I think that's a bit short-sighted for a political party, but okay, I kind of understand what they mean. Like the Sheafin plan.
Fight this election, get ready for when Labour fail, which they will. I mean, Starmer's first cabinet will not have the competence.
Yeah, I understand that, but they're still going to get 420 odd MPs, and the less they get, the better, because they are full of doughballs, which you're about to actually just state that Labour Party are full of clowns.
That Blair's first cabinet had by an absolute mile. So reform will fight the election. As for what I do, I'll think about it overnight.
So that's no commitment. Either way,
no commitment either way from me at the moment. I will think about it overnight.
Wow.
But I do think it's funny. I met a cabinet minister at a social event on Monday of this week, and the venom directed towards me was quite extraordinary.
Well, that must mean you're doing something correctly then, Nigel. Which I think this decision is not correct, is it? We've gone from the correct decision to the not so correct decision. Let's just check
Nigel
this.
Farage is not going to stand. That must be manna from heaven for the Prime Minister.
So this is over at Sky News.
It comes as no surprise to me. I had a conversation with him several months ago, and we agreed that actually he wouldn't like being a Member of Parliament. There's no way that Nigel would want to be a Member of Parliament. He likes the
I'm not sure
national
that's true,
spotlight.
Lord Hayward.
Sorry?
Yeah, he's stood 8 or 9 times to be an MP,
7.
always lost. Okay,
he's always lost, but there's been much speculation. But as I say, I think circumstances are different, and he indicated, not just to myself, but somebody else as well, that actually he likes the national stroke international stage. And being an MP is a very, very different role, as you know. And that's the challenge for the candidates who are standing in this election.
Let's see this one.
Ever thought about manufacturing your unique product idea? This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Well, it finally happened. After months...
I have to say, for if somebody doesn't really know about politics, I would say TLDR News is very simplistic and interestingly simplistic in its presentation of politics.
Months of non-stop speculation, Rishi Sunak has finally announced the date of the next UK general election. Next UK afternoon, and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new video. 3%, the lowest figure in almost 3 years, and just over the bank's 2% target. As expected, the government was keen to try and jump on this and claim it as their victory, with Sunak's own Twitter page posting this graphic. Now, this is important to bear in mind, as normally this is the sort of announcement that the government will want to keep in the news cycle for as long as possible. However, very quickly, journalists began to jump on the news that an unusual cabinet meeting was set to take place at 4:15 p.m, with ministers being told under no uncertain terms that they had to attend. This meant that 2 separate cabinet ministers, Lord Cameron and Grant Shapps, had to either cut foreign trips short or cancel them altogether in order to attend. This cabinet meeting was set to follow a meeting of Rishi Sunak and his...
So, apparently, that there was pressure on Rishi Sunak to actually resign or have a leadership challenge because he was doing so badly. So let's just go over to this. Where are we? I don't know why it's doing that. That's absolutely... Where are you? Let's go and let's try it this way. I don't know why it's doing all this up here. See all this?
Your growing business can do it all with... Here we are, Silver Fox. I'm looking for... What is going on here? So it's not letting me. Unbelievable. This is what I want to show you anyway. Come on.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot.
So.
Hi, welcome to a very quick episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I'm just going to drop this one in. It's live. At the time of recording, it is 10:05. This was released at 9:15, so 50 minutes ago. And it is the voting intention. It's a YouGov poll, and it's the first poll of the election. And it makes absolutely stunning reading. We're going to look at the numbers, but it is wow. Let's have a quick look. Here goes. So you see, this is from YouGov, and it is, if we come down and have a look, you can see the time there, 9:13. It was published this morning. As I say, it's just gone 10 o'clock now, so not that long ago. Voting intention, Conservative 21%, Labour 46%. Now, this was taken up until yesterday. Now, I believe that it would have closed before the election was announced. So, it's just stunning. The important one will be the next one, which will be the first one after the election is announced. But for the first poll published on the first day of campaigning, the Conservatives are 25% behind Labour. That can mean only one thing. Absolute wipeout. Absolute wipeout for the Tories. It is stunning. Now, that's all it is. It's just that. There's no other data with it. This is literally just been dropped. They're probably analysing it now, and we'll see the number of seats later. But a 25% lead by Labour. It's just done. Rishi Sunak needs to just resign right now.
That's going to be a disaster for the UK as well. I mean, the absolute dullards and doughballs that are in the the Labour Party. It's going to be, Nigel just called it right as usual, it's going to be an absolute disaster for the UK having this limp-listed twat in power with such a large majority. Absolutely shocking.
Some things never leave us, wherever we go.
Nigel Farage is not going to
So
stand. That must be manna from heaven.
let's get rid of that.
Hi, welcome to...
Let's see, there's something else the Silver Fox said there as well. So here we go, this is Silver Fox again.
Yes!
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. In a move sure to delight the Tory party, particularly Rishi Sunak, and annoy and slightly irritate supporters of Reform UK, Nigel Farage has said that he will not be standing in the 2024 general election for Reform, or for indeed anyone. He will instead be travelling to the United States to help Donald Trump with his campaign. He says, important as the UK campaign is, on a global scale, getting Trump re-elected is absolutely vital. He says it's the only way to ensure that there will be world peace.
Look at that, look at that.
Certainly,
It's switching
I think anyone better than Biden.
It's switching itself on and off. I mean, that's just incredible. Just switching itself on and off and getting multiple screens opening at the same time. Unbelievable. That's not the most important thing. That's just absolutely nonsense, Nigel. Trump's going to win anyway, and he's well ahead in the opinion polls. What's required here is that both the Labour Party and the Conservatives get defeated. That's the most important thing. That's much higher up the priorities than whatever difference you're going to make over in the United States. Fair enough if it requires to have some support, but you're not going to have a great enough impact on the election over there. You would over here, and it would be better having Reform MPs, including yourself. If this is for a personal basis, I can't fault you for it, but the relevance of you over there, other than whether it's personal or financial, there's not going to be a great deal done over there than you would be as if you were standing for Parliament and leading the Reform to try and take over.
Biden's nuts. And so he will be over there. Now, of course, he's a good friend of Trump. He will fight the good fight over there, as it were, and hopes to, I think...
Just switch yourself off there. I mean, switch yourself back
UK
on.
ambassador, or the American ambassador to the UK, I believe. Of course, you don't have to be an American citizen to be an ambassador. You do to be president, but not to be an ambassador. And so that's possibly where he's going. I suppose the stakes for him are bigger, and the experience is there, and so forth. Be a hell of a journey if he did make it all the way into the White House. But it's something I think that will damage, I think, somewhat the Reform UK candidacy.
Yeah, it's going to. Yeah, the fact is that instead of going into maybe second place from third and overtaking the Conservatives, Nigel's just sort of abandoned his baby. Richard Tate's doing a good job. We'll come on to that in a minute, but he's just abandoned the baby and gone basically gallivanting to the United States when he had the opportunity to change history, which I put in his Twitter handle yesterday.
Challenge. I don't expect them to win, but they will operate as a reminder that there are still people who want a right-wing party in this country rather than the blue socialists that the Tories have become.
Perfect, they just stopped itself without me even touching it. They're not blue socialists, they're globalist shills. if the leader of the globalists and baldy Dr. Evil stood down in Davos, but this should be seen as a mafia-style organisation who are still going to have an effect on British politics. It's them that are setting the manifesto, not the political parties. And the fact that baldy Dr. Evil stood down doesn't mean the organisation's not there, or there's not going to continue to have the influence and do the depopulation things. The Stammer is not paid up shill of that organisation. I prefer to be in Davos, the lispy prick. And we're now going to have him for 4 years, while Nigel's pissed off to the United States to do whatever with Donald Trump.
So let's take a quick look
again.
Again,
I didn't touch that. That's incredible. So Donald's disappeared, and now we're going to get a whole bunch of globally shill crap politicians in to make more and more increasingly stupid policy, just like they did through the SNP. The SNP and Labour Party, apart from one being unions, one independence, are two cheeks of the same ass. And they're both shells for the globalists. So the fact that it's the Silver Fox and Craig Houston said vote Labour, don't do that. Vote for Reform UK. Even without Nigel coming back, Reform UK is a different set of politics. Going from one left-wing globalist Islamic-led entity to another isn't a change in policy. That goes to Craig Houston and the Silver Fox, as much as I love the two of them. Completely wrong to just try and get the SNP out. The SNP are only a shadow of whether it be the Conservatives, Labour. They're all the same. They're all left-wing, globalist-led, Islamo-Marxist parties, because that's what they're getting told to do. Their manifesto's coming from Davos. At least what's his face, Richard Tice, is not led by the globalists. And the fact that Silver Fox and Craig are wanting to get rid of the SNP and replace it with Labour is as if that's a change, when 80% of the policies that are put forward in the Scottish Parliament, Labour back the SNP up anyway. So how's that a change? How's that a political change? It's not. If you've got a party that's backing 80% of the policies up, that means you must agree with most things on whether it's centre, left or the globalist agenda, which they both do. So changing from Labour Party to or from the SNP to the Labour Party to get rid of the SNP is like jumping out the frying pan into the frying pan, which is one of Count Dankula's sayings. Out the frying pan into the frying pan. Do not vote for the Labour Party. They are shit. They've held back Scotland for generations. They're a bunch of dough-balls. I'll come on to what the Labour Party is with that woman in a later date. The Labour Party and the left have held back Scotland for generations. It's a left-wing problem we have in Scotland. It's not, oh well, if we go from the SNP being a bunch of twats to the Greens, who are a bunch of twats, to the Labour Party, who are a bunch of twats, even to the Liberals, who masquerade as Liberal but they're actually progressive Marxist. So that's not a choice.
This is see what's going on, see why Nigel is running to the States. Here goes.
Probably
Do
money.
you want to escape your mundane 9-to-5 job and have more freedom in your life to do the things you want? And the fastest...
So Nigel Farage will not stand for reform at the general election in a boost for Richie Sunak, as he says he is focused on...
So that, to me, and I'll still vote reform at this general election, but the reality is that decision probably might stop reform overtaking the Conservative Party. That decision alone. But I would still vote. It's better to vote for reform under Richard Tice. As I said, Richard Tice is a much better guy than Sir Keir Starmer, the wimpy, the lispy prick, and all other pricks in the Labour Party. Screw them.
Donald Trump, because he knows that the Trump campaign is what will save the world. You can't have another Joe Biden presidency. He is a man.
It's not. You're not going to get another Joe Biden presidency, and Nigel's not needed in the United States. Donald's got it all wrapped up. Because it was turning into a banana republic. You knew it was a banana republic when they started gerrymandering the votes at the last election to get the senile guy in position, and then the lawfare, which showed America to be a banana republic. But that's thanks to Zuckerberg as well,
who is completely off his trolley, and he makes stupid decisions, says stupid things. Trump, on the other hand, won't. Also, it'd be nice to see Trump in, because it'd be the first time for quite some time that you've had a president who then went away and has become president again. It's only happened once before with Grover Cleveland, and you can check that one out. I happen to know that one.
But the political impact of Nigel being in the US and Nigel being in the UK is more significant in the UK. Nigel ain't going to affect it. Donald's already got multiple digit leads in the majority of states. The only one that they need to do and really work on is Pennsylvania. That's the one that where I think it's going to be not maybe decided, but certainly have a glowing significance, Pennsylvania. But I don't think the lead's big enough there, and it has to. And then better watch out for any gerrymandering like the last election.
Anyway, Nigel Farage has said he will not stand at the UK general election in July.
Yeah, well, that's probably... Well, it might not be. I might be proven wrong, but I would suggest that stops Reform going into second place above the Conservative Party, which will, over the longer term, have a much bigger impact in the UK politics rather than whatever you're going to do in the United States, which is not really going to have that big as big a political impact because it's pretty much a done and dusted scenario as you would do standing in the UK. But I mean, it is literally his choice.
His sights set on supporting Donald Trump's campaign to be re-elected as the US president.
I don't. It looks like it's done and dusted. It's like trying to overcook a goose. I mean, what's the point? From all the poll numbers I've seen, it's massive. It would be much better to get rid of the Lib Lab Con Party.
Who has previously stood for election to the House of Commons several times, has faced several calls to stand for the right-wing party Reform, which he co-founded. He said he'd thought long and hard about putting himself forward for the July the 4th vote, announced yesterday by Rishi Sunak. It was in the rain, so it was ready, wet, go. And I tell you what, in Margaret Thatcher's cabinet, Rishi Sunak would definitely have been a wet, Anyway, Mr Farage said that although the UK general election was important, US voters' choice between Trump and Biden in November has huge global significance, and he's right. He said that he would support Reform as they seek to challenge the Conservatives from the right, he said, but would help with grassroots campaign in the USA in any way I can. And then there's a letter there, him basically saying why he isn't going to be standing, and I can understand completely why. Mr Farage says in that statement, I have thought long and hard as to whether I should stand in the upcoming general election as Honorary President of Reform UK. I am fully supportive of Richard Tice's leadership and urge voters to put their trust in him and into Lee Anderson. He said, I'll do my bit to help in the campaign, but it is not the right time for me to go any further than that. And I think, for him personally, I think he's probably right.
150 quid. The number is important because I'm about to show you what...
I think Trump would make a better president than Biden, because at least Trump is not sitting there wondering where the hell he is. Biden doesn't know. And of course, really, Biden isn't president. Obama is really the president. Biden's just the figurehead. But Obama is making all the decisions. And indeed, some people suggested that maybe Big Mike Obama might take over. But apparently that's not going to happen, which is a shame. I'd like to see that. That'd be funny. See Big Mike fight in a contest there against Trump. Anyway, important though the general election is, he continued, this is Nigel, he says, in the contest in the United States of America on the 5th of November has huge global significance.
Yeah, it has got huge global significance, but you're not going to make any difference to him.
A strong America as a strong, close ally is vital for our peace and security. I intend to help with the grassroots campaign in the USA in any way I can. The choice between Labour and the Conservatives is uninspiring, and only Reform have the radical agenda that is needed to end the decline in this country. Reform UK have one MP, Lee Anderson, who defected to them from the Conservatives in March. Some Conservatives see the party as a challenge, with signs of support growing. Mr Tice has played up the danger posed to the ruling party by Reform UK candidates and has ruled out entering any electoral pact with the Conservatives. He insisted it would stand candidacy in every constituency, and indeed I have checked that our constituency where I am does have one, and I think, in all fairness, I will probably give them a go, simply because Labour would be an absolute disaster.
There you go.
Already are.
Now I'm always on the Silver Fox's side, and as with Craig Houston. But yeah, if you're admitting that the Labour Party is an absolute disaster, why are you wanting Scots to vote for it? I agree with you. The Labour Party has been a disaster in Scotland as well. You shouldn't be voting for the Labour Party. They're a bunch of clowns. And you and Craig are saying, well, if it's a choice between the SNP, that's not the choice. Choice is vote for the Reform UK and stop voting for globalist left-wing non-entities.
Are an absolute disaster. There is no one else. Can you imagine the Lib Dems? God help us. So, yeah, really, they're not going to win. I make no bones about it. It's going to be a Labour victory, whatever happens. But, you know, you've got to send a message to the Tories. Start Torying. Anyway, he's made his decision. He's staying there. He's fighting the good.
But the Tories are a globalist, progressive, communist party as well. They would have to get rid of all. You would have to say, if you hold these views, you're not going to be part of the Conservative Party, because what the globalists and the One Nation Tories have basically infused that Conservative Party, and they've basically taken over it. You have to say these ideas are out with conservatism, and you can go and join Labour or go and join another party. You can't have people with progressive globalist views in your party because it's not conservative.
Fight with Trump, and well, you can't blame him. He's tried all those number of times. He did make it.
Yeah, I think we can blame him, and I think the fact is that he should have done it. This could be the difference between him winning a seat on the 8th time, and he's shown his persistence, and also the Reform getting into second place. So I think blame can be proportioned here. So this is the Express. Let me just make this bigger. What the hell's happening here? How'd you get rid of that? Are you telling me? Is that what we listened to? Nigel, this is from the, what is this? Daily Express. Nigel has dropped a political bombshell this morning by announcing he will not play a major part in this general election, after promising to confirm the plans this morning. The former Brexit Party leader got off the fence and said it's not the right time for him to return to frontline politics. The news is a major boost for Rishi Sunak and the Tories, for whom Nigel Farage playing a prominent role could have cost them dozens of seats. Exactly. So the news is a major boost for Rishi Sunak and the Tories, for whom Nigel playing a prominent role could have cost them dozens of seats. Now, I think it is going to cost them seats anyway. And it also depends as well what Georgie Porgy is going to do. I think Georgie Porgy's supporting independent candidates is not the right tact. He should have been trying to get 600 and I think it was minus 900, 641, I think it is, candidates to actually stand. I think 9 were Sinn Féin candidates and they didn't take the seats, so it's 650, and maybe you could stand against the Sinn Féin candidates if you were Georgie Porgy, but that's the the situation. Mr. Farage, I have thought long and hard as to whether I should stand in the upcoming general election. As Honorary President of Reform, I am fully supportive of Richard Tice's leadership and urge voters to put their trust in him and Lee Anderson. I will do my bit in the campaign, but it's not the right time for me to go any further. I'd have said it was probably exactly the right time. Important though the general election is, yeah, it's much more important than being in the United States. The contest in the United States of America on November the 5th has huge global significance. A strong America as a close ally is vital, but we'll still get two globally shill parties in number 10 intend to, we're just swapping one arsehole cheek to the other arsehole cheek, intent to help the grassroots campaign in the USA in any time that I can. The choice between Labour and Conservative is uninspiring, yes, Nigel, but you would have probably been the inspiration. That's why it was a good time, and only forms radical agenda that is needed to end the decline in the country, which is correct. Responding to Farage's announcement from Cabinet Minister Nadine Dorman, slammed GB News presenter, fuming that his decision was unpatriotic. Miss Doris says you have to question the patriotism in a man who has always claimed above all else to be patriotic when he puts another country before his own. Nigel's not standing in the general election because he thinks the election in the USA are more relevant. Reform has set up a press conference this morning commenting on the snap election. So yeah, obviously we're having a new election, and Rishi Sunak is so we've also now got from the I think it's the Spectator, Huffington Post. Rishi Sunak hits lowest poll ratings as a general election selection mounts, and this is stories by Ned Simmons. Rishi Sunak hits lowest poll rating as general election speculation mounts. When was this? So this is 2 minutes ago read, so I take it's 21, so it's yesterday, maybe before the announcement. Rishi Sunak hit low personal poll ratings amid speculation he could call a snap election for the summer as soon as today. A YouGov survey published on Wednesday showed only 20% of people had a positive view of him, while 71% have a negative. The figure give a favourable score of -51, Sunak's joint lowest to date with January, but Keir Starmer remains more popular than Sunak, though still unpopular. Overall, 34% have a positive view of Labour leader and 51% have a negative one, giving a net -17%. Oh, which one do you not like the least? Come on. What are you guys saying? You guys, where you are there? Here's my baby gorillas. Hello, sir. Hey, Jambo. How you doing, brother? SNP has hacked your computer. Sturgeon is onto you, boy. I think she's not the only one. What do you think the voting turnout percentage will be? I think it's going to be lower. I mean, everybody's uninspired, but I think you should do the opposite of what they want to do. They're obviously trying to uninspire you. So just go out and vote Reform UK regardless of Nigel not being there. And that'll piss off the establishment. That'll just I understand people's reservations. Some people have got reservations about Richard Tice, but he's not going to win. And by actually actively going out and voting for Reform UK, who are the only plausible alternatives to the mainstream political entities, all left-wing globalist shills, is to vote for Reform UK. So go out and actually vote. Don't not vote and don't let apathy. If you don't turn up, somebody else will turn up and vote for a bunch of doughballs. So I'll just not bother voting. Go out and vote Reform UK. That's what to do. Every seat, everybody that can do it, go out and vote Reform UK. Even if it's just for a protest vote. When I stood for the Brexit Party, there was lots of penises drawn on the ballot paper to spoil the ballot. That's pointless. I was trying to get the invigilator or the whatever he is, the ref, to actually say that's obviously directed at me, because there were big huge penises, and I said I should get these votes. Any penis drawn, I should be getting the votes. But on a serious note, total waste of time. You might as well put your X for somebody, and if you put the X for Reform UK just as a giant screw you to the establishment, that's definitely what you should do. That's what you should do. Don't just stay at home. Don't mutilate your ballot paper. Get out, vote, and vote against the establishment. That's going to give them the biggest bloody nose. The more people that go out and vote against the establishment. Don't spoil your ballot paper. Don't vote for the normal parties. Even if you vote for wee Georgie Porgy, if you're left wing and you want to vote for wee Georgie Porgy, vote for wee Georgie Porgy. But go out and vote. Don't vote for the mainstream. Don't vote for the SNP. Don't vote for the Greens. Don't vote for the Lib Lab Con Party. Don't vote for the Welsh Nationalists. They're just a bunch of wokey wefters as well. Go out and make a positive vote. Doesn't matter if you don't think you're making a difference. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about spoiling your ballot. Waste of time. Go out and vote against what is going on, and thereby voting for. Even if they make even if Reform got in and made a mess of it, it would at least be a change of direction. I don't think they will. I think that actually what they've got in the manifesto is completely comprehensive and actually progressive, not from the communist progressive, but progressive for the UK, progressive in the actual normal dictionary way of progressive, not communist, kidding on the progressive. What do you think voting turnout will be? Well, I hope it's not reduced, because you have got an opportunity to make a difference, and the difference is by voting for Richard Tice. If you've got to hold your nose and vote for Richard, hold your nose. But go out and vote. Sitting on your hands, sitting on your vote, not voting is a total waste of time. Go out and vote. Mike doesn't have the balls. Wait 1 minute. Alec Taffy Campbell come out that he does. What's that? Alec Taffery Campbell. I don't know what that means. I always thought Farage was paid opposition, by the way. Can't stand Tice. Doesn't matter, you can't stand them. Doesn't matter. There'll be other opportunities soon. I saw the Family Party and the Heritage Party were talking together. Let's just see if I can get that up. And I told you that these things, there'll be other opportunities, but in this election, you don't have to like the person, you don't have to like Richard Tice, you don't have to like the people for paid opposition. There'll be other opposition coming soon that's going to make all the difference. So let me see if I can get this. Look at it, look at that, man, honestly. And I get voted in as an MP. There you go, that's the real face of it. And that could be Rishi Sunak as well. He could have another hand on Rishi Sunak's shoulder. We are getting paid. This is the actual way that the political system works. He does the telling, they do the implementing, and this could be Sir Keir Starmer sitting here, or Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. They do the telling, they do the implementing, and it's not about you. So let me just see. Some good stuff. No, that's great, Shawnee boy. So look at this is the SNP.
I mean, that's brilliant. It's on. Interrep 2 is on. Scotland is hungry for independence. Yeah, I think it's right that they settle into Westminster for a bit. You know, play them at their own game. Just you wait. Nicholas said it's on, so it's on. Interrep 2, here we come. No, I think it's right that she said it's now not on. I mean, we don't even know the terms of Brexit yet. Voting SNP in the 2017 general election is how we get the India F2 that Nicola just put on hold. Yeah.
I would love to see Neil and Shawnee Boy doing a joint comedy sketch. I think Neil from the Family Party. I'll get back to that in a minute.
Over SNP MPs out of Westminster in protest. India F2 is on. No, Blackford was right to lead them all back into the chamber after lunch. I mean, with full bellies, they can really focus on stopping Brexit. Vote SNP at the general election to stop Brexit, because that's the mandate Scotland needs. Look, there was no way that the SNP could have stopped Brexit. No. Boris is the one who puts lies on buses, not our Nicola. This pandemic is awful. I worry about my relatives. But Nicola's got this. Can you imagine living in England right now? Look, even with daily briefings, not even Nicola could have predicted that putting infected COVID patients into quarantine care homes would have killed so many people's grandparents. Tory austerity is killing vulnerable Scots. The sooner that Scottish Government gets control of social security, the better. No, they were right to delay Social Security Scotland. I mean, I know people have starved to death and killed themselves over this, but that's entirely Westminster's fault. 1 million list votes for the SNP got us 2 whole seats. Bargain! A plebiscite referendum. No sensible person would suggest that's a plausible route to independence. Nicola's de facto referendum plan is pure genius. It's the perfect route to independence. Nicola Sturgeon was the greatest First Minister we've ever had, and she resigned on her own terms with no drama, no scandal, only brave leadership from a #girl boss. I think it's strategic genius for Peter Murrell to let himself get arrested. I mean, that's the difference between Holyrood and Westminster. Integrity.
I'm in the light at the end.
Yeah, go and sign up to Shawnee Boys. Does some great political satire there, Shawnee Boy. Have a wee follow at that. Excellent. Put the lotion in the basket. Where is this thing? This is quite good. I quite enjoyed this. Where is this? Come on. Oh, here we go. Here it is, Mr. Curtin.
Please talk, TNT. You just caught me there.
Now, don't forget, you heard it here first. I said there could be a merger between the Family Party and David Curtin as well. So the Heritage Party, so the Family and Heritage Party, which would be a great sounding name, a great advertisement. So. We've got our Neil on here with David, who's a lovely fella as well, was a great councillor down in London.
Hot micing, speaking to my next guest coming in, who is actually Neil Fraser.
So this is TNT Radio Live.
He's been on before from the Scottish Family Party, and he's here to talk about some of the craziness which is continuing in Scottish politics. It never seems to end. Anyway, Neil, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here, David, on another magical day in Scotland where reality seems to be going downhill all day long. So, I mean, it just gets weirder and weirder here in Scotland. We've had the Greens banish people in their party who believe.
So, I think these two parties are not that far away, and obviously. David Curtin's stronger down south, and Richard Lucas is doing a very good job for the Family Party up here. A lot of people in Scotland like David Curtin as well. He's always quite a straight talking guy as well. There's a lot of respect for David as a politician. He was very competent as a London Assembly member as well, and yeah, I think there's a definite fit. Not just there, you also need size as a political entity. So this would dramatically increase the size of the political party. and trying to cannibalise and bring in more individuals and parties together is definitely the momentum. And when you've got such a good fit as the Family Party and the Heritage Party to make the Family and Heritage Party, that it seems like a no-brainer for the future, and both of them seem to go on as well. Neil, I'm sure Richard Lucas would be very interesting hearing both of them talk to each other.
In biological reality, if you can believe that, David.
Look, do you know what? It is hard to say, but I do believe it, because the Greens are absolutely crazy. They're crazy here in England. I imagine they're just as crazy or even worse in Scotland. And they've got the name that you hear the Green Party and you think, oh, well, this is great. This is about looking after trees and birds and animals and plants. But it's not. They're absolutely mad, and they don't even believe in biological reality, that there are two sexes and all of this stuff.
Well, I would say they're a bunch of Marxists kidding on their environmentalists. I do agree.
What's happened with these people? I understand that they've, as you say, banished 13 members.
Well, let's just get into this. So we'll just take a wee break. So Greens banish 13 members. So 13 members of the gay tranny party were expelled. Let's look at the Telegraph this time. Let's see this. the tranny commie party. Here we go. Oh, so right, okay, that's not working. Scottish Greens expel 13 members for declaring that sex is a biological reality. So unless you're delusional that men can literally become women, then you're not a member of the tranny commie party, the tranny commie Green Party. Robin Harper, a former Green Party member, I told you they were all getting wacky, said that there's nothing aggressive or critical towards trans people in the declaration, which is probably not, but when you actually have to be delusional to be part of the Green Party or something out of the good life, you've got major problems. A former leader of the Scottish Greens has called for his successor to be ousted after the party activists were expelled for declaring sex as a biological reality. That's because they're all wacky commies. The party has kicked out 13 members who signed a declaration stating that biological women were entitled to sex-based rights and protections, which I agree with, and expressing concerns that gender-critical views were being silenced. Of course they are, because it's a tranny commie party, the Greens are. A tranny commie Islamist party now. They've got Islamists, so it's just getting wackier. See how many wacky, stupid ideas that we can possibly stick into one individual. The Greens decided that they pose a risk to safety of all trans and non-binary members. In 2018, the party adopted a rule that said trans exclusionary individuals of any kind are not welcome as members. Oh my goodness, the Fourth Reich there. If you're not into trannies, you're not coming in. Robin Harper, a former leader of the party, who becomes the UK's first Green parliamentarian when he was elected to Holyrood in 1999, all downhill from there, said the decision to expel the activists was utterly laughable. I don't think it's laughable. I think it's distinctly worrying, where if you don't get into this doughball party unless you believe that men can literally become women by inverting their penis and getting a couple of silicone breasts stuck on, that actually makes them a woman. In fact, we're going to bring in crimes that if trans people don't identify as trans and engage in sexual activity with people who are heterosexual, we're going to put them in jail. So I'd like to see that stuck right up you. And I'm into having sex with two women at once. Where's my party? Where's my flags? Where's my parades? We, the super straights, I'm going to be sitting there like Puff with the white Puff Daddy. with a whole bunch of gyrating chicks and leggings all in my float, sitting there like while 50 Cent's PIMP gets played in the background for having sex with 2 or more women at once. That's going to be my sexual proclivities that I want spoken about, and my discrimination I want spoken about at every opportunity in the Scottish Parliament. I want a big float, and we're going to have a super straight float for people who are only into having sex with men and women and are trans exclusionary. And we want ones for the lesbos who don't like penises as well. We'll have them in the background as well. And we're going to have a new super straight with like swingers and people that are into orgies and other things like that. We're going to have that, and we're going to get that. We feel that these people are being discriminated against and put into the background. I don't know why we need to talk about being gay all the time. And getting buggered all the time. What's on scissoring? Well, I don't see the. We've got a declining population. So what's the point of promoting homosexuality unless you're part of the globalist agenda for depopulation? That's the only reason you would actually have the promotion of homosexuality. While at the same time importing a new ethnic group or new ethnic groups to overtake you in the actual, and then also bringing in DEI, which is a direct discrimination against the indigenous population. So you are discriminating, you're just picking your victims. Let's see this. No, it's going. No. So I don't know. See this? Why is this? It's not you. It's us. I bet you is. There you go. There we go. Just mucking about here. No more nonsense. Right. Let's see if we've got anything else here. There was something I was wanting to show you here. So now I can't actually press the button. Let me see. Here we go. Where is it? Come on, where is it? Where's Reform UK? Did it come out on the 17 hours ago? Let's see what she's saying. Quite like her.
What has driving got to do with presenting? If you are a business...
But with me right now in the studio...
So this is Talk TV.
Very pleased to say Isabel Oakeshott, the Talk TV international editor, is still with us. First of all, Isabel, on a very shallow note, I am a shallow man, notorious for it. I mean, the optics of that, going out into the pouring rain, no doubt wearing a suit that's probably worth about $5,000. He spends a lot on clothes, old Rish, and then getting soaked to the skin. As I said to you earlier to you and Peter Cardwell, that image will last forever, and it will go down in the annals as how not to call an election. Why didn't he use the nice dry confines of that £9 million Downing Street studio they built during the COVID crisis?
It is utterly inexplicable. I mean, within moments of him stepping out and standing in the rain, I could see that he was going to look like a drowned rat.
It looks like Wallace, the Asian Wallace and Gromit.
Within minutes, he was going to look like a drowned rat, and sure enough, very soon, the subject Roland Rat was trending on social media. The social media is full of memes. That is the picture that is going to be dominating the TV bulletins tonight, every newspaper front page. Tomorrow it is an absolute gift for headline writers. Drowned and out is how one of his own Conservative peers put it damningly. I mean, the cartoonists are going to have an absolute field day. I cannot understand why he did it. Downing Street will be replete with those old-fashioned canopies known as umbrellas.
Yes.
Could easily have just taken one of those out.
To be fair, although this is enigmatic, this is what he's going to be remembered with. But in the British weather, it's not as if you can actually predict weather. I would just get wet as well, but I'm used to that, and I'm sure he probably is as well. But the visualization of this image is what it is, and that's the problem. Not the fact that it doesn't rain sporadically in the UK and you get caught out without an umbrella. Why you would not have somebody coming out, but all of his press seems to be wrong. It all seems to be gaff-laden and making him and the country look slightly inept. Although he's probably an intelligent fella as well, but he comes across, even as an intelligent, gaff-prone. And that's what you don't want to be looking like.
I think this announcement today was not intended, not planned.
I agree.
Something happened. They got
there's obviously in the 1922 committee, and there's been the globalists have seen more and more people saying this guy's obviously not up to it, and he's going to lose our jobs. But they should have thought about that 6 months ago, or when they replaced Liz Truss, who, even though she get at least voted in, he get rejected by the party, and now he's getting rejected by the country. And the globalists thought, we'll just ram him in anyway, and the British people are going to take it. And now there could, even still, I mean, there is a chance, it's a smaller chance, but there is a chance that the reform could get into second place. There's a chance. I mean, I'll be voting reform. Silver Fox said he's voting reform down wherever he is. I'll be voting reform in Scotland. I won't be voting for the Labour Party. They're shit.
And they made this announcement, and that is the kind of optical blunder that happens when everybody has been caught off guard.
Yeah.
It was not very well orchestrated, was it? Choreographed. And it's a terrible start to an election campaign. It really is. People will say, well, we're being flippant and glib just talking about how Rishi Sunak looked. But this stuff
optics are
this
important.
stuff matters.
Well, that's what I said as well. It is optics, isn't it? And it's not really even his fault, because a downpour could happen at any time. But it just looks like Wallace and Gromit, isn't it?
People are voting for somebody to lead and represent our country, and to hopefully...
Nobody voted for him apart from 120 or whatever it was, 200 odd globalist shill MPs. That's the ones that voted for him, the ones that are in the pocket of Baldy Dr. Evil and the Weft Mob and the Rothschilds.
Guide us all to a better future, and a man standing looking absolutely drenched and beaten up is not somebody that is going to inspire confidence, really, is it?
No, it really is not. Let's go.
And obviously Isabella, I've always liked the way Isabella speaks as well. She seems really nice, but obviously Isabella has a political interest with Richard Tice, but they're actually quite a nice couple. I would certainly go for a drink with both of them. Out with the politics, they're actually both actually nice individuals, whereas this fellow wants you to pay taxation, but his wife doesn't pay any taxation. You can write it.
Go to that strange issue of why suddenly, I mean, all the indications were, would it be an autumn election? He actually did not so long ago.
So he's been. It should have been an autumn election, but obviously the Conservative Party have got wind that this guy is not liked within the party and within the country. But now what's going to happen is that the Conservatives are going to be decimated. I think they're going to be into double figures. I'm talking about 124. I think it's going to be something like in the 90s, maybe even 88. I think they're going to get absolutely decimated with 20%. So there'll be hardly anybody to be back. A lot of the people that are going to be back will not be the red wall it's going to be a bunch of doughballs in the Labour Party who are, you probably see, you end up seeing major splits in the Labour Party, but you're going to get a bunch of doughballs to lead our country who are, even before we even know we're going to get a problem there. There's going to be a problem with the Labour Party because it's full of idiots, and they've already Starmer has already pledged his allegiance to Davos. Big Ears Tony Blair and Squint Eye Gordon Brown have already been what's their instructions to give to Starmer? So they're already all in on it anyway. He said, I prefer to be in Davos than Westminster. I bet you would, because it's not democratic, is it? Who voted for Baldy Dr. Evil? Who's resigned? Whose children are still in the WEF? And the WEF hasn't gone away. So let's not kid on that because Baldy Dr. Evil has resigned, he's the WEF's agenda is finished. Far from it.
Correspondents and his MPs go off, enjoy your summer holidays, nothing to see here. Suddenly he's changed his mind. It cannot surely be this fall in inflation, a rather disappointing fall in inflation from the Tories' point of view. They were hoping for it to be a bit more, but it's encouraging news. But he cannot surely have decided, right, that's it, I'll go to the nation with this disappointing inflation fall. It cannot be that he solved the migrant crisis, even though he was in Austria yesterday saying it's brilliant, it's fantastic, it really is a brilliant deterrent. I cannot recommend it to you highly enough. Even though it hasn't started. I was struggling to think, apart from that inflation fall, what else is it that the Tories could cling on to say, hey, vote for us? What else have they got? What other success stories have they got? Are there any?
I don't know what, if you're a Tory MP trying to hold on to your seat, you really have to sell on the doorstep. All you've got to sell.
Yeah, but it's not just what you've got to sell, it's what you've done and what the future looks like, because under a globalist entity like Rishi Sunak, it's more of the same: high tax, high spend, and low growth. So no thanks, and that's what the Labour Party are going to offer as well. It's not going to be a change. Stop people voting for these people. It's the high taxation, low growth is holding the UK back.
Is the notion that things will get worse under Labour. And as Rishi Sunak stood there at the lectern on Downing Street, in another disaster for that presentation that he was giving, the music was booming out from Whitehall. That was a Labour anthem, the Dream, things will only get better, and all anyone...
Yeah, I think that's wildly speculative. And under Big Ears, Big Lugs, Tony Blair, things didn't get better. The only thing that happened was the advancement of the globalist agenda, open immigration policy, and things did not get better. Things did not get better. This sort of thinking back, Tony Blair wasn't just a slimy prick, just like Keir Starmer. They were both beholden. Like Big Ears was over in Davos, the last Davos meeting with Gordon Brown. Don't think that the orders aren't coming from there for the doughballs in the Labour Party. Long past the day has this been for the working man. Long past. This is the globalist shills have taken over the Labour Party, and we've got a bunch of retard MPs, who are Labour MPs who are going to fill up the Parliament, and they're going to be absolutely thick as. Same in Scotland. Retarded.
You'd think was things are only going to get worse for you, Rishi Sunak, as you stand there.
Well, I don't think. Well, I think things are just not going to change. I think it's going to be more of the same under Sir Keir Starmer. It's not, things are going to get better. Things are just going to stay the same.
The rain, trying to make people vote for you.
And by the time Gordon Brown left, the Labour Party left and Gordon Brown left, and the Chancellor said, there's no more money left. That's how well the Labour Party chaperoned the economy by overspending and doing nothing to grow the economy, because not one of them's had to set up their own business. They're just doughballs.
The Tory MPs, I think they will, and the candidates as they will now become, all they can really say is, do you really think Keir Starmer is going to lead this country to a better place? And crucially,
no, and the answer to that is no, Isabella, and you're quite right. That's a great no is the answer. And they're not even in power yet, and I'll tell you just now, no, because they're running this high tax, wee baldy Dr. Evil, the son of a Nazi over in Switzerland, throw my cat, had a busk. He's got a busk of Lenin, and he's somebody said that the other day there. Can't remember, some commentator was commenting on the fact that Baldy Dr. Evil had a bust of Lenin on his and don't forget, I told you that National Socialism was a branch of Marxism. It came out of Marxism. So it doesn't matter. It's not really the fact of identitarian Marxism, whether just like the WEF, like the identitarian, whether it be sexist, racist, blah blah blah, all that crap. It's just identitarian Marxism, just like National Socialism is identitarian Marxism. The racist critical race theory is the same as National Socialism, although it's against white people. It's just a form of black Nazism. Based on the Marxist principle, but the underlying is the Marxism, which is why Baldy Dr. Evil gets all. That's why the Conservative Party, who are also beholden to Baldy Dr. Evil, run a Marxist or what they call a con-socialist, what we call it almost con-communist agenda in the UK. That's why it's not going to matter by voting for the Labour Party. I keep trying to tell you this. I don't know how many people are waking up to it, mind you. Obviously, my reach has been hampered as well.
Keir Starmer has a very weak immigration policy. He's tried to strengthen that.
They've not got an immigration policy because it's been dictated through the Schiffen plan that we are having open door immigration. It's already been dictated. Until you stop voting for globalist shell politicians who are literally killing you with giving you heart attacks, cancer, and they're killing you but having an open door immigration plan. The Tories or Labour, they've all been shells for the globalists. The globalists want open immigration into Europe so that they can actually connect through the Barcelona process, the Union of the Mediterranean, and the UN Compact in Marrakesh on refugees. They're not refugees. It's been deliberately done so that there's no nationality. Nationalities get taken out. You get replaced in your own country, ethnically replaced, and then they get the one world government, so that you have basically de facto open immigration. And then they can bring in the no property and all the commie crap for you while they live like it'll be like what was that? Like the Hunger Games, where they all live in their wee isolated pockets, and everybody else is piss poor through communism. That's the objective. What are you guys saying? Love to see you wearing a dog mask. You're younger than 70% figure. All ring. What should we? Always thought Farage was YouGov and 70% figure always rings a bell. Yeah, love to see you wearing a dog mask. That's a bit kinky. What about ID cards with Blair in the background? Course. Listen, the agenda set by the Wilkie Wefters, and then it gets given to us. It's not from the bottom up, it's from the top down. I'm not talking about the top as in Blair or Brown or Sir Keir or the wee fucking the wee what do you call them, the wee Asian Wallace and Gromit. It's given to us by the globalists, and they tell us what to do. That's why you need to stop voting for globalist parties, globalist shell left-wing parties. Aye, they can stick their ID cards. Australia has just passed this year because Australia is part of the globalists, and the globalists are telling Australia horsey face and New Zealand, I don't think people should speak, and she was part of it at the UN, a non-democratic globalist organisation, the UN, the EU, 28 unelected commissioners dictating your legislation, not democratic. But what about all the people that get voted for in the actual democratic chamber? They're the second chamber. They're like the House of Lords. They only rubber stamp what's getting dictated to by the 28 unelected commissioners, which in turn are paying homage to the globalists, to Baldy, Dr. Evil and Davos, and the Bilderberg Group, and the other globalist shell organisations, like the Foreign Relations, Council on Foreign Relations in America. All the globalist shell organisations are telling them what to do, and then they get dictated to. I mean, really, I'm dealing with, well, honestly, man, no. It's obvious, and that's why Australia's got it, because whoever the guy they brought in and whatever party in Australia is, they're already shelled up to the WEF, because that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be like the fascist. Don't forget, China's rejected Marxist economics for fascist economics. It's almost, it's not exactly, it's different. They're not a corporatist country from an economic point of view, and they're not a completely fascist, but it's more like fascism, where the state actually owns shares in the actual underlying companies. So it's almost mafia-esque, and they brought in the ID. So if I piss off like wee Wallace and Gromit, or Turkey Starmer, hello there, Turkey Starmer, or wee Nippy, they'll be able to deduct my credit score. So my credit score will probably be 0, because I ain't going to stop. So let's go, Isabella. Well, back to you, honey.
Recent days, knowing that he's exposed, but tomorrow there are immigration figures coming out, long anticipated. It's actually it is one good reason for Rishi Sunak to make this announcement today, in that what are widely expected to be truly devastating figures tomorrow on legal migration.
What, like another million or something?
I think we've been prepared for it to be slightly less than the last set of figures, but let's say it's around
1,000,001.
Let's say it's around 700,000.
Oh, hey.
I mean, that is still.
So hang on a second. I'm just going to reach for a bottle of champagne. That is good.
I mean, it's still
ridiculous.
an enormous figure,
Yeah.
and the Conservative Party will have been very mindful of just how badly that was going to go down. And no Reform UK was planning on doing a press conference tomorrow on immigration, and that, I imagine, is now derailed. So that will be a small little win for the Tories on that front, just sort of drowning out, as it were.
So on that note, let me go into this. Your watch later, your videos history. Let me see. I was watching it earlier on. Here it is there. What one was that? Reform Man. Yeah, that was him. So, of course, is back. So,
One here. Wish to leave.
So Ben Habib again is actually a brilliant politician. I think a genuine nice fella as well. And if you gave me a choice of Labour or these guys being in, I'm going to take these guys. And you've got to remember, even if you don't like Richard Tice better than Sir Keir Starmer, the globalist shill, or wee Wallace and Gromit. Or anything in Scotland, the doughballs in Scotland as well for the SNP. These guys, I prefer to trust my future. If this is my choice, these guys would get my vote. So this is an announcement, and this is on Reform TV. Couldn't find it earlier on, don't know why, but Reform TV.
Well, welcome everyone to this press conference, which has taken on a slightly more serious tone than we thought it would have when it was first called, but at least it's warm.
Well, I mean, the seriousness is that Nigel's... I kind of knew that. He was sort of hesitant. When you get somebody that's continually hesitant to do something, it probably means that Nigel wasn't really wanting to do it anyway. Although I still say that it's a big mistake if he's into politics, and from that point of view, whether or not his longer term strategy is to remake the Conservative Party. But the Conservative Party is already corrupted because all the MPs come out of central office. It's not organic. It's not. They don't come from me, like standing up at a local Conservative. They're placed, and these are all shells basically for the globalists. I'm not sure what the situation is like in the Labour Party, but even if like Ben Habib and all that went in, they would be overpowered, because what they would gradually do is weaken the reform element in the Conservative Party and bring in more of the globalist shells again, because they've got control over the Conservative central office, and they would just then they would shrink. The Reform Party would shrink again. You have to kick out anybody who's a globalist shill from the Conservative Party, anybody that's even remotely for large scale immigration, anybody that's remotely for any of the targets from the WEF. They have to go. So that's what they have to do, but they're not doing that. So you can't have a globalist shill, anybody who's a globalist shill political representative in your party, whether that means completely obliterating the Conservative Party or not. You can't have anybody who's a supporter of Baldy Dr. Evil in the Davos agenda.
And dry in this room. I don't normally make notes, but I've made a few notes just to make sure that I don't forget some very key messages that I wish to leave with you this morning. Make no mistake that this general election is an incredibly important one for the United Kingdom. The country is in dire straits. Biggest debt level since World War II, highest taxation since World War II, GDP flatlining, GDP per capita reducing. I think we've had the longest recession GDP per capita in all of recorded history. Immigration through the roof. More people have come to this country in the last 25 years than in all of history before that. An inability to enforce our borders, and I could go on and on and on. And some people have speculated as to why it was that Rishi accelerated the decision to call an election. It was a very sensible move from his perspective. He had a glimmer of mediocre economic news and he thought he'd just run for it because inflation came down. But inflation only came down because of the reduction in the cap on gas and fuel prices. And he knows inflation in all probability is going to go on up. He also knows that there's no fiscal room for a tax cut before the general election. So he would have had to wait months with nothing good to show for it. And by the way, no flights going to Rwanda. And I can completely endorse anyone who's sensible enough to see that the Rwandan scheme is
why they're not deporting illegal immigrants who have not got an asylum case. They're not deporting criminals, even if they've mass raped children and put them into sex dungeons. It's the Conservative Party and the globalists in the Conservative Party who have signed us up to the Barcelona process, the Union of the Mediterranean and the UN Compact and refugees in Marrakesh, and they're not prepared to deport even criminals who have done the most murder and rape and grooming of children, even back to the country of origin. If Pakistan are not prepared to take their own citizens back, cut all trade, cut all cut trade, cut all subsidies, take their citizens, fly them back to India and get India to put them through and march them to the border. If they come back in the UK, arrest them, keep them in jail indefinitely until they actually decide to go out the country. That's the way you deal with it. That's what happened to me. I've been deported, so I know what happens to when a proper deportation. They don't want to do it. They want open border immigration because it's part of the globalist agenda.
Fundamentally flawed. No flights will go to Rwanda. We'll continue to have open borders. And the other thing, of course, that will get stronger and stronger and more difficult for Rishi, as we would have headed towards November, is our strength, Reform UK strength. If you look at where we were in the polls in October 2023, polling 5%, Richard likes to cite the 1% that he inherited in early 2020. But more recently, we were polling 5% in October 2023.
Yeah, well, I think I got, when it was the Brexit Party, I got, I think it was, I don't even know if it was a full percent. I don't even know if it was about 600, just about 600 votes, so it wasn't a lot. But it's incredible how it's advanced from the days of the Brexit Party to where they are just now. To be fair to Richard, he's done a great job in advancing the party, and I haven't seen him do anything wrong.
13% in Wellingborough, 17% in Blackpool South, and the political wind is in our sails. So every day that went by, every month that went by, Rishi was getting weaker and we were getting...
Yeah, but had Nigel come back, he would have overtaken them. It's a screw-up, it's a problem, but it's probably not as big a problem. I mean, they're still going to could make 17%, potentially. Whether or not they get into third place, I mean, let's just look at this. Which in
to Europe, didn't he? He made it to Europe and did the vote that pulled Britain out. So yeah, well done to him.
Yeah. So let me. So let me just get this. Let me Nigel Farage, Nigel. I don't know what the hell's happening in this thing. Nigel. Can't even get the one things on this. Honestly. Your channel. Right, here we go. So a number of years ago, in fact 3 years ago, I was checking out there. 3 years ago, I stood in front of the... I'm not even touching that. I'm not even touching that. And it's... look at that. That's... There we go. So 3 years ago, I said the Reform Party... I said the Reform Party would win the next general election.
AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design.
Well, hello, my baby.
I think I look better now than I did then.
Gorillas, and great news today. Obviously, Nigel watches the Guerilla TV channel. Fantastic, great. I said that they should transform into the Reform Party, and they have. Absolutely fantastic news to Lawrence Fox. Lawrence Fox is a lovely fella. I really like Lawrence. Every time I know he's already spoken to Lawrence, but I think he should speak about, should all just fold in to...
I like the fact that this is all sectioned off. It certainly wasn't me that did it. Let's go to my thoughts.
And I'm really looking forward to getting the votes and having a change in British politics, really getting rid of the old rubbish that we've got just now, really bad politicians. They seem the only interested in help.
Well, I think the suit's better, the hair's better, and even the sound is better when I'm doing outdoor live streaming. But you guys like that, I will 100% be voting for Reform. Exactly, totally pointless. Two parties that eye to eye on many issues. That's correct. Look, I just get some great comments. At last, wonderful news in politics. I'm in. Nigel for PM. So you can feel a wee bit let down in these sort of days. But I went through the baby out with the bathwater. Best news in a long time. Sick to the back teeth of the big two parties treating us all like fools. Good one, Guerilla. A join of these parties would be very powerful. Yeah, exactly. Me and my wife support Reform Party. I sincerely hope so. Everything you said is 100% correct. We need to get rid of the two-tier system of two-tier party. Labour and the Tories are finished. I won't be voting, period. Well, what did I say here? Come on, we need to change just one. Come on, we need a change. Just vote. People have died to allow you to vote. We need a change. While I'm sympathise with that point of view, it's just what the existing political elite want. As enabled their business. Well, that's why I'm saying you should vote for reform. Let's change it. Let's throw out the two-party system. Too much whiskies, I think. Stop drinking, mate. I thought it stood scandal hit National Province of China Party. Good point about Lawrence and Nigel. Stop jumping about. Stop jumping about. Sorry about that. Sorry. It looks like the man did not like the last comment, so took off. I don't take off any comments, just so you know. Listen, matey, if you're going to do vlogs, you have to take criticism, or don't bother vlogging. On these vlogs, Anthony, the YouTube does stuff in the background. I don't mind criticism. I'll leave it up. There's one there. They said UKIP would be elected in 2015. They got 12%, the best result ever, and 0 MPs. Brexit and this lot are the same. That's so. I put my thumb down that, but I don't take criticisms off. Just so you know, I don't take any comments off. So, and I don't mind criticism. I'm quite happy, and especially if it's constructive. This guy Anthony looked like it was going to be constructive criticism. So I can certainly listen to constructive criticism. It's a wee bit wearing if it's just something banal. But a lot of the comments I get are good constructive comments. I don't take comments off, just for future reference. Oh, you're all here. Oh, look at this. My goodness, I've been not even speaking to you guys. Why the hell's that? Why is all this? Why is that not? Where am I down to? What about ID cards? Hi, bud. How you doing, mate? Tim, how you doing? I'm here late, so rewinding it from the start. How you doing, buddy? Good. Habib has the very same sounding voice as Sunak. It's uncanny, yeah, but I think, listen, you have to judge people as individuals, and I think that Habib is a better politician, and he certainly seems to have better ideas than Sunak does. Sunak just looks like he's out his depth. He's a wee bit like Hamza. He looks like he shouldn't be there, although I would say that Sunak's probably, on an individual basis, an intelligent man. Let's go back. Where the hell did I go? Oh, see, there's going, I don't know what's happening. There's, right. Let me continue with this.
Getting stronger. It was a sensible move by Rishi Sunak to call this election from his perspective. It also signals how scared and how failed he has been. The other thing I want to mention, which is critical, is that this administration that has so failed was always going to fail. And the reason it was always going to fail is because it broke the central promise it made to the British people in 2019, which was to get Brexit done. We have not got Brexit. When we voted for Brexit, we voted for the United Kingdom to leave the European Union. We didn't vote to leave Northern Ireland behind. I know there are some people who said Northern Ireland was a price worth paying for Brexit. Let me tell you, folks, if you're prepared as a government to turn your back on over 1 million British citizens without putting up even the slightest of defence, you're an absolutely hopeless lot who will see the end of the United Kingdom. Brexit was not done. Northern Ireland's been left behind. We're hitched at the hip from a regulatory and legal perspective to the European Union. We would not be in the economic predicament we're in if Brexit had been done. We would have deregulated. We would have cut taxes. We would have promoted the working and middle classes. We would have promoted private enterprise in this country. We would have replaced the dependency culture that 25 years of Labour and Tory government has produced with an aspirational culture. We would have replaced wealth redistribution with wealth creation. That's what Brexit was all about. So we haven't got it. And so the administration was always going to fail. And of course, as bad as Boris Johnson was in getting Brexit done, Rishi Sunak is a one-nation, non-Brexiteer Tory. He has to go, and he will go. Before I finish, I just want to touch a bit on...
Well, I would say also, and I don't understand why you don't start describing these people in the globalist... that's all correct, but he is a globalist shill as well for Baldy Dr. Evil and the Davos mob.
Northern Ireland. As some of you will know, it's been a bit of a bugbear of mine, and I think a critical bugbear for the reasons I've explained. Richard and I went over to Northern Ireland earlier this year, and we established an alliance with a party called the Traditional Unionist Voice. And it's run by a chap called Jim Allister, who's the antithesis of Rishi Sunak, the antithesis of Richard Tice. He's a man, the antithesis of Rishi Sunak, absolutely the same as Richard Tice. Strike all of that, folks. The antithesis of Rishi Sunak. He is a man of great principle, like Richard Tice. He is a man who stood by his principles, has made great personal sacrifices for the fight for Northern Ireland. And we were in the process of registering a political party in Northern Ireland, which is what you have to do to stand in Northern Ireland. But I'm afraid that this election has come on us faster than we had anticipated. And so we haven't been able to register Reform UK in Northern Ireland. It might be that we will be able to by the 7th of June, which is when I think nominations need to be in. But I spoke to Jim Allister this morning, and I want to make it clear to the DUP, who have become the new Tories of Northern Ireland, that I spoke to Jim Allister, and I said that I would personally ensure that it had all the funds it needed to stand in as many seats in Northern Ireland as it determined was required in order to give the DUP the same bloody nose that the Tories are going to get in the United Kingdom. I'm going to stand in Wellingborough again, and I'm very much looking forward to reconnecting with the people of Wellingborough. I'm going to be taking a flat in Wellingborough, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time there over the next few weeks. And that's just a matter of fact. And without any further ado, I would now like to introduce someone who joined Reform UK at the same time as I did, and really for the same purpose, which is to save the union of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Anne Widdecombe.
Thank you very much, Ben. Now, the crucial issue in this forthcoming general election is going to be immigration and the impact that it is having. The published figures have now come out for the year ending in December 2023, and they are a migration, and this is legal migration, strictly legal migration, 685,000. Nowhere near the 200,000 that we had been previously promised. 685,000. Now, at first glance, because the 2022 figures were 764,000, it might look as if there has been at least a slight decrease. But what we have to remember is that the 2022 figures were revised not once, but twice upwards. We began by being told, just as we are being told the figures now for 23, we began by being told that the figures for 2022 were 606,000. And after 2 revisions, they ended up at 764,000. So it's therefore reasonable to conclude that the 685,000, which has been published today, will be revised and is likely to end up as substantially more. Now, having been in government and having been in the Home Office and having been, admittedly a long time ago, immigration officer or immigration minister, I know very well that immigration...
And what you need to do is be able to sack civil servants. You need to go through, and civil servants are not doing their job, P45 them as a minister. You can't have people who are going against the democratic mandate of the British people because they're somehow a civil servant and they can't be touched. They're just an employee. If they're not doing their job, they need to get shot. We just bring in legislation to sack them.
Immigration has a tremendous impact on the country. There is no such thing as an economic movement which doesn't impact right across the scale. And immigration has a big impact on our health services. Immigration has impact on housing. And it
isn't my I'm not sure what happened there. Is that right?
ended up at 764,000.
I meant they sound the same. They are totally different policies. I meant they sound the same. They're totally different policies. Habib, our very same sounding voice. Yeah. I understand. No, you're completely correct. I don't know what's happened. I don't know if what's actually happened here. Let me try and do this. What the hell's happened here? Wow, it's just actually doing stuff by itself now. Wow.
For Northern Ireland.
There's a promise.
A new house every 2 minutes. Having been...
Wow. Let me see if I...
Of course, as bad as...
Wow.
Huge amount of housing. I think Richard will be telling you that it...
Well, I don't know what's happened here, guys. It's obviously been interfered with as usual. I don't even know if I'm still live, and it's just blocking. It's making. Look at that. It's just making things up. It's now cutting off streams. Wow. I think the computer's going to need a reboot, guys. I don't even know what's happening here. I wonder if I can do it this way. Let me see if I can do it this way. Oh no, it's still doing that. Wow. So yeah, that's don't even know. Let me see if I can take this out. Wow.